Leisurely gentlemen, video number 3. It's a celebration! Wood shavings are not a substitute for confetti. Why did I think that was going to be a good idea? It's in my pants, it's in my pants. Oh, that's better. Nice and clean. This is much better. Hey everybody, it's a book review. Did you say a book review? That's what I got for you. And I even made a rhyme. That's how much I care about you guys. And you might have heard the expression, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, why don't you let me live my life the way I want? I'm a grown man. I will make my own decisions. The thing of it is, this is a book you can judge by its cover because it's really cool. Ninja. 1,000 Years of the Shadow Warrior, written by John Mann. Now, I've pretty much fully converted over to ebooks because moving boxes of books is just slightly more fun than getting kicked in the junk by a mule. So having, 1,000 some books on a tablet this big, it's amazing. It's the future. This is the future. But I really like the way this book looks. It's got a real attractive cover here, as you can see. And also the other interesting thing is, I don't know if you can tell, but the edge, the paper is real kind of choppy looking. It's not clean cut, so it looks like you're holding an old book in your hand. That's kind of cool. This is the type of book I will still buy a physical copy of. Now, ninjas are just one of those things that are inherently cool. They're always going to be cool. They're like pirates or cowboys or dinosaurs. There's just something awesome about them. That's why it was easy for me to pick up this book, even aside from the attractive cover. The thing you need to know about this book right off the bat is it's a non-fiction book. It's a history book, basically. So if you're coming into it expecting a lot of crazy action and a really Sorry folks, it was an air compressor. One of the hazards of recording your show in a working wood shop. Where was I before I was so rudely interrupted by a piece of inanimate machinery that I'm yelling at? Right, ninjas. So it's a history book, it's not fiction. It doesn't have a lot of crazy action or, if it can be a little dry at times, so just know that going in. Considering, however, it is a book about ninja, it's probably a little more interesting than, say, a history book on the role of the cow in medieval Spain. I don't know. No disrespect to cows. I like cows. They're delicious. When I started reading this book, I had a number of misconceptions about what ninjas were. When you think of ninjas, you think of, mercenary assassins, failed samurai, men with no honor who, for the highest bidder, will take out or sabotage whatever the person who's paying them wants. And while most likely those individuals did exist, that's not what ninja were. In fact, the early part of the book describes a potential ninja would go through training by shugendo. I'd just like to apologize if I butcher any of these words. I'm sure I will, or already have. I can barely speak English properly. And shugendo is all about training the mind to bring one to a place of serenity and calm. It's something we would attribute more to monks than you would really think about a ninja doing. One of the main tenets of being a ninja, regardless of what their mission is to get in and to get out alive. Primarily being a ninja wasn't about getting in somewhere and removing a target, but rather it's about intelligence. And while I am admittedly no expert, it seems to make sense that to get that intelligence back to the person that sent you, you would need to be alive. The other part of the misconception I had was that ninja had no honor, or they were looked down upon by samurai. And the thing of it is, to understand the ninja, you have to understand the samurai, because they're two sides of the same coin. For the samurai, honor was everything. It was their lifeblood. And for everyone to know what an honorable samurai you were, you needed to act in the most public way possible. So people know. People look at you and say, there's an honorable samurai. I saw him do this. I saw him do this. Stories about you get around. The thing of it is, though, Japan at that time, and we're talking about a period from around the 1400s to the 1600s, was not a safe place. So while covert operations were somewhat frowned upon because things done in the shadows aren't going to increase a samurai's honor, they were still necessary. So now we have entering into the picture the farmers and the peasants of the Iga and the Koga regions. Now these were people who had just had enough of these warlords and these jerks coming into their territory, stealing what they wanted, burning villages, and they decided to do something about it. So they trained themselves and they armed themselves, a lot of the times with modified farming implements. And over the generations, you have this fighting force trained to protect what's theirs. And this is where the ninja came from. Their reputation starts spreading. People get wind of what these farmers and peasants are capable of, and their services become very much in demand. And those are some of the more interesting parts of the book, where John Mann discusses some of the missions that were undertaken, where they had to get into a castle to get the gates open or provide a distraction so that the main forces can move in. The other interesting thing about this book is not only does man discuss ninja back in medieval Japan, he also brings it into present day, not only talking about the ninja's role in pop culture, but also how it's affected the modern Japanese military. During the Second World War, for example, Japan establishes the Nakano Spy School, and man draws a comparison between the teachings of the medieval ninja and this new school. He not only talks about the training, but he recounts some of the missions undertaken by the graduates of this spy school. Here's something the Australians out there may not know. Japan landed on your shores during the Second World War. Graduates of the Nakano Spy School disguised themselves as fishermen and landed on the Australian coast. The higher-ups suspected that there was an Allied naval base there, which there wasn't. They never did find. They landed, they surveyed the area, they took video to back up their findings, and after a few days they left. Nobody ever knew. And the book ends on a fascinating story about a man named Hiro Onoda. A 23-year-old graduate of the Nakano Spy School, he was sent to the Philippines near the war's end. And shortly after he gets there, the Americans attack, and him and 4 other soldiers retreat into the jungle. So not long after, the Americans drop the bombs, the Japanese surrender, and the war is over. But despite repeated attempts by the Japanese government to get these soldiers to come out of the jungle, they stayed in there. The entire time reasoning the war is still going on, and these are just tricks, ploys to try and get them to come out. And Onoda stayed in those jungles for 30 years. 30 years. Seriously, 30 years. I couldn't make it 30 days. 30 hours would be pushing it. It's a fascinating story, and it's well worth looking into. All in all, I really like this book. Now, I did have a couple problems with the book. Number one, for being a book about ninja, it doesn't focus a lot on ninja. Let me explain. The focus on the Shugendo training, for example, that's not specific to the ninja. That's just something the ninja did. Well, there's a lot of focus on Oda Nobunaga and all the events surrounding him. While it talks about how the ninja both helped in his campaign and opposed him, these stories really more are about him and his allies and how Japan was unified, while the ninjas really just play a part. And then the discussion about World War II and the spy school and the ninjas' influence on pop culture. And he does get extra marks for talking about the Ninja Turtles, so good on you. Again, that's not specific focus on the ninja, it's more about their influence. It's about drawing those parallels between medieval Japan and our modern times. And while the book is super interesting, if you're looking for in-depth details on ninja training, weaponry, missions, and whatnot, you're going to be disappointed. I would give this book 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5, I don't know, stars, thumbs up, ninja stars, I don't know. It's an arbitrary rating system, 4 out of 5. It's my first review of something in the books, and it's about a book. Everybody loves books. I'm sure you noticed a little midweek video, some nonsense about aliens. 1 video a week just did not feel like enough. So that's not going to be quite as scheduled. It'll just be, you know, something pops into my brain and I feel like talking about it. I'll talk about it. Yeah, I just use my phone camera. Less production, it's faster to get up, but then you still have these higher production, high quality videos every week with some stuff in between. Like and subscribe, that would be awesome. Leave a comment, let me know if you like what I'm doing. Constructive criticism is always welcome. So that's it for me, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Or sooner, who knows.